Hello, children. My name is Mr. Dunn, and I am speaking to you today because I'm really excited. I have the brilliant opportunity to be your teacher next year, and I'm thoroughly looking forward to it. So this is a little video that I thought I'd put together to kind of say hello. This is me, and I'm going to be sharing a book with you today. But before we look at the book, which I'm excited to share with you, I thought I'd tell you a little bit about myself. This will be my 6th year teaching, so I've been teaching for 5 years so far. This is my 3rd school that I've been in. The other 2 were in Bradley Stoke, which some of you may have been to or may live in. I've taught in years 3, 4, 5, and 6. Some things about me. This is always the hardest thing to talk about. I'm a massive Aston Villa fan outside of school. So for any of you football fans out there, you can talk to me about Aston Villa or your football teams. Love football. Hopefully we'll stay up this year. Got my fingers crossed. I love to travel. So I love going on holidays. I went on an amazing trip last year to Southeast Asia, where I got the opportunity to go to Thailand, Vietnam, and Cambodia. And that was unbelievable, unforgettable. I'll share some of the photos with you in September. They were fantastic. The whole trip was just amazing. Here we go. I like to game, so I'm quite an avid gamer, where I like to play games on different consoles, and I love to read. And actually, my passion for reading has really grown, I would say, since becoming a teacher. I read before, but it's got more and more. It's occurred more and more, and I find myself getting lost in books now. And it kind of links me nicely onto this. So this is the book I'm going to share with you today. It's called The Fantastic Flying Books of Mr. Maurice Lessmore. And I got this book in my NQT year. So when I was training to be a teacher in my 1st year. And it has a lot of different hidden messages. But for me, it really stands out as a wonderful book because to me, it's all about that getting lost in the story. And we'll talk a little bit more about the kind of hidden messages and what it means to me at the end, all right? But I thought I'd just like to share it with you. I'm just going to move my camera because I thought there was a little light up there kind of getting in the way. And here we go. So, The Fantastic Flying Books of Mr. Maurice Lessmore. Let's see what this is all about. I'll read the pages and then I'll kind of zoom in for you like this so you can see. All right. So here we go. Maurice Lessmore loved words. He loved stories. He loved books. His life was a book of his own writing, one orderly page after another. He would open it every morning and write of his joys and sorrows, of all that he knew and everything that he hoped for. And there he is, writing in his book. But every story has its upsets. One day the sky darkened. The winds blew and blew. Till everything Maurice knew was scattered, even the words of his book. Brilliant illustrations in there. He didn't know what to do or which way to go, so he began to wander. And wander. Then a happy bit of happenstance came his way. Rather than looking down, as had become his habit, Maurice Lessmore looked up. Drifting through the sky above him, Maurice saw a lovely lady. She was being pulled along by a festive squadron of flying books. Maurice wondered if his book could fly, but it couldn't. It would only fall to the ground with a depressing thud. The flying lady knew Maurice simply needed a good story, so she sent him her favourite. The book was an amiable fellow, and urged Maurice to follow him. The book led him to an extraordinary building where many books apparently nested. Wonder if you can work out what the building is. Morris slowly walked inside and discovered the most mysterious and inviting room he had ever seen. It was filled with the fluttering of countless pages, and Morris could hear the faint chatter of 1,000 different stories, as if each book was whispering an invitation to adventure. Then his new friend flew up to him and landed on his arm. It held itself open, as if hoping to be read. The room rustled to life. And as Morris's life among the books began. Sorry, I read that incorrectly. And so Morris's life among the books began. Morris tried to keep the books in some sort of order, but they always mixed themselves up. The tragedies needed cheering up and would visit the comedies. The encyclopedias, weary of facts, would relax with the comic books and fictions. All in all, it was an agreeable jumble. Morris found great satisfaction in caring for the books, gently fixing those with fragile bindings and unfolding the dog-eared pages of others. You can see he's being very careful and very particular, very precise there. Doctor of books, you may say. Sometimes Morris would become lost in a book and scarcely emerge for days. Morris liked to share the books with others. Sometimes it was a favourite that everyone loved, and other times he found a lonely little volume whose tale was seldom told. Seldom means rarely, so it's rarely told. Everyone's story matters, said Morris, and all the books agreed. Key phrase there for me. At night, after all the stories that needed telling had been told, and everyone had settled down to their proper places on the shelves, the great big dictionary would get in the last word. Zzz. It was then that Morris Lesmore would once again write in his own book. He wrote of his joys and sorrows, of all that he knew and everything that he hoped for. The days passed. So did the months. And then years. And years. And Morris Lesmore became stooped and crinkly. But the books never changed. Their stories stayed the same. Now his old friends took care of him the way he had once cared for them, and they read themselves to him each night. Then one day, he filled the last page in his book. He looked up and said with a bittersweet sigh, "I guess it's time for me to move on." There he is. The books were sorry, but they understood. Morris put on his hat and took his cane. As he went to the door, he turned and smiled, then waved goodbye. "I'll carry you all in here," he said, and pointed to his heart. The books waved their pages, and Morris Lesmore flew away. And as he flew, he changed back to the way he'd been that long ago day when they'd all first met. The books were quiet for a while. Then they noticed that Morris Lesmore had left something behind. "It's his book," said his oldest friend. Inside was Morris's story, all of his joys and sorrows, all that he knew and everything that he hoped for. Almost dropped the book then. Then the books heard a small, expectant sound. There in the doorway was a little girl. She looked around with wonder. Then something fantastic happened. Morris Lesmore's book flew up to her and opened its pages. The girl began to read, and so our story ends as it began. With the opening of a book. I love that book. For me, it means quite a lot because I believe my passion for reading that's kind of grown over the years relates to this. Every story, every book is different and tells its own little tale, tells its own little story. And the magic behind reading, and I think this is why, from speaking to Mr. Miller and Miss Braddock and other teachers at the school that know this year group quite well, part of the reason why I'm so excited to work with you for many different reasons, but one of them, knowing that you are avid readers and enjoy reading, it's great because just like Morris Lesmore, you can get lost in any book, whether it be fiction, non-fiction, poetry, a crime story, a mystery story, an adventure. Like, you can just allow your imagination to go wild. And the sentence in there, every story matters, it's absolutely true, because each story can inspire you in a different way. And it certainly stories have certainly inspired me to start writing, for example. And hopefully we'll find this year that the books that we cover and all the different books that we look at and read together, they'll inspire you to want to go and write about and want to read more and more. And they're just magnificent. They're fantastic. A little side, if you think about the story as a whole, him starting at the beginning, having that kind of passion for books, and then looking after the books, and then traveling through his life with the books, kind of reminds me of transition as well. So for you, you've had, or for me as a teacher, going through and having a class, looking after the class and teaching the class, and then leaving that class to come on to a new class. I kind of resemble Morris Lesmore then going on to the girl, or as the books, children potentially, as you transition, you go from Morris Lesmore being one teacher onto, just realised I called myself a girl, but going on to somebody else. So great book. If you want to look at it again, there is a short animation. If you search the Fantastic Flying Books of Mr. Morris Lesmore, you can find a short animation of this on YouTube. It also has been turned into an app. So if you've got an iPad or a tablet at home, you can search the title of the book, and it downloads an interactive story for you, where pages, for example, like where the books are kind of flying around the room like this. Oh, not showing you very well. Where books are flying around the room, or the pages where he had the storm. You can control that. And I think your actions kind of help to tell the story. So you can like twist the storm to make it really raging. Yeah, it's brilliant. It's really good. And that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And I hope to see you all very soon. And I really, really, really look forward to September. So thanks very much, and bye-bye.